is that?
Morning, sunshine. You've been out for a week.
2009 seems like forever ago. Miley Cyrus was still Hannah Montana in 2009. There was only one Hangover movie in 2009. And the Nintendo Wii was the biggest thing in video games in 2009. In fact, it was actually the biggest thing in games in years. It was a huge, runaway, breakthrough success. And it was a success that the people who make video games had no idea what to do with. I mean, they tried a few things. No More Heroes, Boom Blocks, The Blob. All great ideas, all from third-party publishers. It wasn't long before their ideas were outnumbered by their excuses. They started to simply disregard that huge runaway breakthrough success. And that's why a game like Spyborgs was a big deal in 2009. Now, of course, if you didn't have a Wii, you've probably never even heard of Spyborgs. When you see it now, you're probably thinking, wait, that was a big deal? Well, again, you didn't have a Wii. See, for all the things Spyborgs wasn't, there were a lot of things it was. I mean, this was a third-party Wii game that was an original new IP, and like exclusively for Wii. And even more importantly, it was a third-party Wii game that actually had some effort. It had talented people behind it. It had a budget. I mean, for Wii owners, Spyborgs was a lot of good things. One thing it wasn't was a good idea. Spyborgs was the debut project for a new development team called Bionic Games. This was their baby. There was a lot of talent and a lot of resources behind this Wii game, which sounds so simple, right? But for a third-party publisher like Capcom, this was already becoming less and less common. I mean, Capcom had already put a lot of effort behind Zack and Wiki, a very creative idea for the Wii that never met sales expectations. As a result, it seemed like their approach to the system became a lot more cautious and conservative. And Spyborgs had all the resources, but with a safer idea. It was kind of like the opposite of Zack and Wiki. If that game was too out there, Spyborgs was so in there, it was asleep on the couch. And it really starts with the IP itself, Spyborgs. I mean, sure, it's original, but it also manages to sound like a show you'd watch on Saturday mornings. Only worse. It sounds like a show you would watch on Saturday mornings if Cartoon Network hadn't canceled it. I mean, it tries so hard to be an original and familiar idea that it ends up in this incredibly generic middle ground. And the same goes for the tone. Too kid-friendly to be God of War, but too mature to be a kid's game. And the characters, too. Light, medium, and heavy. Ninja chick, dude with guns, massive robot. It's the least original idea you could possibly have and still have an original idea.
Target enemy moves a different bonus when destroyed with a finisher.
But even that would all be fine if there was something to the gameplay. Some kind of hook. Something to give the game a much-needed identity. Spyborgs doesn't have it. This is the same kind of 3D beat-em-up you've played 100 times before. You button mash enemies, string together combos, sometimes you can do a cinematic team attack with QuickTime events, which are a lot less interesting than they could have been, and you can also level up your characters between levels in like a handful of attributes, which is kind of boring, which is kind of fitting for game design this safe. So, it's safe, it's boring, it's generic. That's three words that capture everything that's wrong with Spyborgs. But there's also a lot right with Spyborgs. A lot you didn't see very often on Wii from third parties, especially after 2009. Specifically, it's gorgeous. I mean, even with an art style and a soundtrack that are, of course, generic, Spyborgs is technically stunning. It has some of the most impressive visual effects on the platform, especially in terms of its lighting. The glow of the weapons and the flash of the explosions. Spyborgs does things many developers said you couldn't really do on this system, and didn't do. Spyborgs did them, and in 2009, that was a big deal. You know, it's not that Spyborgs isn't a fun game. In small doses, it is. It's a fine beat-em-up. It plays great, looks great. It's a great co-op game especially. I mean, you play it now, and Spyborgs is an okay game. but in the context of its release, such a letdown. The Wii didn't need another okay game from a cautious third party that didn't seem to get the platform. Spyborgs seemed like it wouldn't be that. It seemed like more than that. But you played it then, and Spyborgs was just an okay game. I guess some things haven't changed since 2009. Big classic game room thank you to George from North Brunswick, New Jersey, for sending us Spyborgs for the Nintendo Wii.